Catch us live on your TV screens.
Where we be? Welcome back to it. You're still tuned in to Cape Town TV. This is Ekse on channel 263. And namhlanje we are talking queer rights and queer advocacy. Lauren, you used a very big word to describe yourself.
A very, very big word. So earlier I said the word cis heteronormative, and I did it aspris. I did it so that you could say, what? What is that? Because we're going to be chatting about queer Pedia, where words just like that are discussed, where people can have access to it. And I'm excited. I feel like guaranteed, there's a guarantee stamp on it. Whoever's at home, you're going to walk away from this episode learning at least one new thing or one new word.
Absolutely. I mean, we live in such a colorful community. We live in South Africa. We call it the hashtag Rainbow Nation, whatever that theory goes. However far that theory goes.
That's a whole conversation in
That's a whole
itself.
different conversation. But today we're joined by a panel, as we mentioned earlier, and this is Patricia. We welcome Seth, Leo, and Siyanda. Yes. You
Welcome,
can clap it up.
guys.
You can clap it up. Welcome, guys. So let's start with Seth. Seth, you were part of the team. You are part of Chisimani's team that created the Queerpedia. Please tell us the background of that and why you felt like this is something that's necessary.
Sure. So first off, we've been calling it the Pocket Queerpedia, and the reason for that is because we didn't want it to feel like we were like created the end-all definition, grand encyclopedia of all terms that could be possibly queer, because it's an area, language is always changing. And also we're learning as we go too. So we're coming at this from like a humble place, right? Because so at Chisimani, it's called the Chisimani Center for Activist Education, and we work with young, especially grassroots activists from a variety of backgrounds, and generally they're working with advocacy or activism, focusing on like rights, but also thinking about the potential for change. So imagining a bit further than the sort of purely needs of now.
I think that humble approach is also so nice because it's basically providing a platform where others
For
can
more
add
growth,
on.
in actual
Yeah,
fact.
I think that's really cool.
So Leo, you identify as genderqueer pansexual. This is a mouthful. And especially for someone at home who does not know what all of this means. What do you mean when you say...
I really appreciate what Seth and Chisimani did, because like growing up, I never had access to those terms. Like, it's just like it's this thing. I'm like, okay, I'm different, but what am I? Nobody ever taught what is, being queer, what, gender, non-binary, all of those terms. So for me, I don't identify as male or female. I'm just like living in the gray area. I know I look colorful, but that's where I'm at. And then pansexual, I see people, right? Like I see people, I don't see your gender. I see a soul, and that's what pulls me in.
Interesting. Siyanda, you are a performer, you're an artist, but also you are the president of, wait, before I mess it up, tell us what you're the president of.
Liberation for Artists Association.
So what's that all about, and why are you part of this? Why did you feel like this is something that you identify with or align with, rather?
Because I felt it was a need, especially now, this time where there's a lot happening, and there's just not enough for us to be looking forward to. So there's not enough spaces for artists to be able to present themselves and basically brand themselves as creatives, young up-and-coming creatives. So I took it upon myself to because I know how it feels to be an upcoming artist that is marginalized, with no platforms, with no opportunities, no funding, no nothing. You just sit in the room, you want to do this, but there's just nothing happening for you. So you're bound to feel, I don't know, inadequate.
Isolated as well.
Thank you, at some point. So I just felt it was a need to just say, you know what, you are enough, you are sufficient, and here is a platform, or here is a hub that sorts to create these platforms and opportunities for you to just showcase your talent, because you are worth it.
Wise words. I feel like those are very, very wise words. I also want to, before we jump to the lovely Patricia, I want to put anybody on the spot. I promised the viewers we would explain cis-heteronormative. Can somebody please explain cis-heteronormative?
Okay, so in my way, like it's you subscribe to what you are born to, what you are told, you follow, you know what's normal.
You happen
in a
to
way, yes.
fall
So
into
you're
what society
heterosexual-
said you were.
Exactly. You are heterosexual, you follow the norm heterosexual, you're female, you identify as female, you showcase yourself as female, and yeah, that's essentially it.
So hopefully everybody at home now, you've got a brand new word to learn. And of course, Awonke is off camera and he's also learning new words as well, like he promised he would earlier. And I think that's so important, you know, it makes me think about how many times I've never had to, you know, question or sit down to my parents and explain, you know, it's very, very lucky. And there's so many people in the world that aren't like me, that, you know, aren't having to, like, and they have to end up being like, shit, okay, I have to go to my parents and explain things. And I think that it's so beautiful that we have people that can speak to, you know, maybe viewers at home, whether you're from the LGBT community or whether you're somebody like me that's cishet. So I want to jump to Patricia as well. I heard you're the legal queen. So you know all the legal things. And Bonga, I think you have some questions regarding the legal side of the world.
Definitely. So we talk about the LGBTQI plus community, and a lot of us, especially in South Africa and in the world in general, when we say queer, we already assume that it's lesbian and gay, then we stop there. But we speak about trans people as well. We need to speak about trans people. What are the rights that trans people have in this country, and what are some that you think are being trumped on, or you feel like queer people or trans people are not aware of in this country?
The fact that they are as protected as any other person who doesn't identify themselves as anything. Section 9 of the Constitution does give rights to everyone, and so no one must be discriminated, be it because of gender, sex, or whatever they identify themselves as. So whether you believe you're straight, you're gay, or lesbian, the rights are the same to everyone in South Africa.
I mean, practically speaking, it looks like it's just in theory that, I mean, we've seen so many cases where trans people are put into the wrong jails, you know, and into the wrong jail cells. Like recently, probably 2 or 3 years ago, there was a trans woman who was put into a male prison intentionally. I mean, to what does that speak then in terms of the legal system and being protected then as a queer person?
The implementation is the problem, just like with any other laws. While at least it might be there in the theory, implementation is a bit tricky because not so many people are educated and are allowed to adapt in the way that we would hope so. But all we can do is that hope with time things can change. With more education, people can understand and apply these laws practically.
Amazing. So Siyanda, you say for the advocacy that you work in, you use art as a form of advocacy. How do you do that? How does art become a form of activism and advocacy? How do you use that in your organization?
Well, I firstly believe you can't be an artist without being an activist, because it speaks of everything that you are. Because we basically advocate with each and every artistic discipline. Whether you want to realize it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you disagree or agree. But for me, it's what I decided to use to advocate and basically speak for the voiceless. So with that said, we create platforms and spaces for people to sit around and have discussions of how their perspectives, their opinions, their views on certain things, specifically around this topic, and how they are affected, not only by the system, but by the community, how they are affected by the industry itself. So we do have those platforms where we basically have workshops or talk shows where we just sit around as creatives and speak, skillfully dissect and decipher everything, basically unpack it as the topic goes.
I wanted to bounce off of what Siyanda was saying. Seth, you mentioned the Pocket Queerpedia earlier. If there's anybody at home that's wondering, you know, where can I access it? Where can I get hold of it? Is there a website? Is there any social media links? Where can we get hold of that?
Okay, so the digital version is free for everyone, and it's available on the chisimani.org.za site. You can navigate there, and there's a materials page, and you'll find it. But also on all the Chisimani social media pages, etc. And honestly, if you just Google it, especially right now, because we've been trying to promote it as much as possible, you go Pocket Queerpedia, Chisimani, for extra measure, you're definitely going to find
So
it.
it's definitely going to pop up as soon as you Google
There's
it
a
on the
page.
Google machine.
And the important thing is it's available in 3 languages.
Yes.
That's
English,
amazing.
Afrikaans, and Xhosa, and yeah.
So it's really making it accessible,
Accessible,
to everybody. I think
And
that's
we will
phenomenal.
have print books.
Soon.
Yeah, we're waiting for them, literally. to
That's
get out Kabi
exciting.
little
Sign
paws
me
on
up.
it.
Sign me up. Put me on the list.
I actually want to talk about that, but we're going to have to take a quick ad break. In the meantime, please stay tuned and stay engaged with us on social media. We are at Ekse_live on Twitter and on Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook at Ekse Live. Otherwise, you can dial 021 444 448 0448 021 448 0448. Let me go get some water. Let's go get some water, get some refreshments. Siyabuya, stay tuned. This is still Ekse Live, channel 263.
CTV family, catch us live on your TV screens.